Gosh golly, that was really kind of overwhelming. I thank you so much, Ginger. Thank you, Miles, and Mimi, and Tom, and everybody for having me here. I forgot I wrote a lot of those things that I just heard, which is good to be reminded, because then you find yourself writing another poem, and then you look in a book you wrote 10 years ago, and you already wrote that poem. It's good to be cautioned. Another great day here at the festival. With a lot of poetic nourishment. But by the same token, if poetry were a food, it would probably be fudge, and you can really only eat so much. So, we're at the end of a good long day. I'm going to read, 6 or 7 poems, and we'll start again tomorrow. These are mostly new poems, and maybe and a couple from my most recent book. I'll put my watch up here. And this poem's called Saying No. No, sir, absolutely not. Sorry, but no. Not sorry, actually, just no. Keep it simple, plain vanilla. Nope. Not happening, big N, big O. No way, no how, negative, nuh-uh, ixnay, niet. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Not likely, not likely. Maybe, but I doubt it. Possibly, conceivably, in theory. Uh-huh, mm-hmm. Well, yeah, sure, okay. Why not? Oh, definitely, yes, wow. I mean, anything at all. When can we begin? Thank you. This poem's called Another Night at Leicester's. 1. Many of the voices I'm hearing these days belong to actual people. Others resemble Ashbery poems recited by preschoolers. Self-importance is something I learned from a self-help manual. Pretentiousness I come by naturally. My thanks to the generations yet to come for their pre-orders of my collected works. 2. In the next 600 poems I'm going to read tonight, all words will be buzzwords, all metaphors ink-edged, all images pitched to tickle the funny bone and melt the heart and vent some spleen and pickle my liver and give you the finger. 3. I had a thought, and then I had a thought, and then I had another thought. Check it out, the pics are on Instagram. People who bought the items in your cart also bought books about André Breton and Lindsay Lohan. Which tells you what exactly? 4. This has been a test of the emergency broadcast system. Wrong button. This has been an audible audio text recording. Thank you for listening to Campbell McGrath's poem, Another Night at Leicester's, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. We talked a little bit about political poetry today, and this is a political poem of a certain kind, and it's the shortest poem I ever wrote. It's only 4 words long. And when I say I wrote it, it's really an appropriated poem or a found poem in that the first 2 words were spoken by, well, the final 2 words were spoken by George Bush, and the first 2 by Dan Quayle. And it's called A Brief History of the Republican Party, 1989 to 2006. Fellow astronauts, mission accomplished. I didn't write it. This poem is called My Music. My music belongs to me, and it is awesome. My music is way better than your music. Your music is trash, garbage stench of a hot summer night behind the dumpsters at Taco Bell, rancid, But I'm there too, drinking beers in the parking lot with the windows down and the radio tuned to a baseball game we are following as casually as the stars' erratic flight plan. That music is my music, all of it. Ball game, laughter of friends, and the crack of frosty six-packs, asphalt returning the day's heat to the sky. My music is so much better than your music, I pity you. Almost I would pity you. If I were not disgusted by your chump change music. My music will beat your music to a pulp. My music will turn your music into a car wash run by infants. Their tiny hands can't even hold the sponges. They will never, ever degrease those tire rims. Get out of my business with that nightmare you call music, with your tears and pleading, the whining of excuses. Oh, sorry, that is your music. That crybaby boo-hooery, that blurt, that diminuendo, that wah, that large-ass mess, that chicken pot pie all pocked with freezer burn, that coyote hung from a fence post as a trophy and a caution. My music cannot be poached or slaughtered or dimmed. It cannot be labeled, disciplined, contained by manicured hedges. My music is the untamed wilderness of the soul. The rebar that holds up the skyscrapers of your city is my music. Watch out, your city will fall to rubble without it, tumbling, disintegrating. But don't worry, it wasn't much to begin with, that place you called home. With its measling river, its rusty bridges. There's a carnival in the meadow of the old floodplain, cotton candy and whirligig lights, and the racket rising up from the carousel is my music. Old guys fishing along the breakwater, coffee can half full of fat, wriggling worms. That worm thrum, that earth mouth echo is my music. My music has won the gold medal and the silver medal and the Congressional Medal of Honor, the Purple Heart, the Pulitzer Prize, the Crown of Laurels. The Employee of the Month parking space, the platinum record album on the wall behind the desk, the trinket in the bottom of the Cracker Jacks box is mine. I own all whistles and bicycle bells, all pocket combs, uranium mines, Q-tips, lobster bibs. I am the little golden man on your bowling trophy. I am the nickels collected in your pickle jars, the rubber bands, the safety pins. I am the Christmas lights packed away in cardboard boxes above the gallons of old paint in your garage. I am the U-Haul pulling out of the driveway, leaving your town forever. Goodbye, Loserville. Hello, New Hampshire, Alabama, Minnesota, Texas. I'm all those places. Everywhere you ever dreamed of going, I have been there and pissed on the phone poles already. I'm the names of all 50 states on your tongue, their Old English nostalgia and Amerindian prolixity and majuscule Latinate transliterations rolled together. I own the alphabet and the stars in the sky. I own the pigeons sleeping beneath the overpasses. I own the shadows of pine trees and the corn husks in a paper bag on the porch and the ants on the bottle of barbecue sauce. Ants all over those cupcakes and watermelon wedges, huge carpenter ants and black harvester ants, raspberry crazy ants, tiny and tinier, sugar and ghost ants, almost invisible warp speed ants like cartoon swashbucklers of the microsphere. The footfall of the ants is my music, oh yes. Cacophonous, euphonious, that tumult, that mad march, louder than circus elephants and softer than flowers opening, gentler than apple blossoms descending into creek water, petals falling one by one. And just for that moment, I have forgotten to hate you. It's a very contrarian poem. We talked a little bit about, we talked a lot about a lot of things in the festival so far. This poem's called Pentatina for 5 Vowels. A pentatina is a lot like a sestina, but a sestina is predicated on the power of 6 and a pentatina on the power of 5. So it's like a sestatina, but less so. But it follows its own set of rules, and it's 5 vowels because the stanzas all rhyme in a certain way, A, E, I, O, U. Pentatina for 5 vowels. Today is a trumpet to set the hounds baying. The past is a fox the hunters are flaying. Nothing unspoken goes without saying. Love's a casino where lovers risk playing. The future's a marker our hearts are prepaying. The future's a promise there's no guaranteeing. Today is a fire the field mice are fleeing. Love is a marriage of feeling and being. The past is a mirror for wishful sightseeing. Nothing goes missing without absenteeing. Nothing gets cloven except by dividing. The future is chosen by atoms colliding. The past's an elision forever eliding. Today is a fog bank in which I am hiding. Love is a burn forever debriding. Love's an ascent forever plateauing. Nothing is granted except by bestowing. Today is an anthem the cuckoos are crowing. The future's a convolute river on flowing. The past is a lawn the neighbor is mowing. The past is an answer not worth pursuing. Love is only won by wooing. The future's a climax forever ensuing. Nothing gets done except by the doing. Today is a truce between reaping and ruing. I guess this is a different kind of a political poem. It's called Sugar or Blood. I marked it, but I'm not finding my own mark, but it's right here. It's this yellow one. Sugar or Blood. In the kitchen, Elizabeth has been making marmalade with the luxurious crop of our lemon tree. And from my desk, I can almost taste the caramelizing essence of citrus rind and vanilla beans and burnt sugar. And I can hear the piano concerto by Mozart she is listening to, which sounds like a pavilion constructed from lemon-tinted panes of sugar glass. And the Zairian music I'm listening to is like a tessellated and betasseled tapestry thrown upon the floor of a nomad's tent. And the sands of the Sahara continue their migration into the time-worn grasslands of the Sahel, and the Virunga volcanoes comprise a fog-shouldered heaven to the last families of mountain gorillas awaking before dawn, shy, Herculean versions of ourselves, brothers from a simpler dream, luminous and transient as meteors. There will come no more into this world when we have killed the last of them. So many spools of golden sorrow to unwind, so much pathos to weave upon a loom of human agency. As if we were not ourselves baboons on the savannah, not jackals, not giraffes in our ungainliness. As if to desire the coat of a jaguar or the fur of a snow leopard was not a form of worship, as raw ore minted and coined resembles the child's flattering imitation of a mastery it will never equal. Who would not be a great cat in the Amazon or the Hindu Kush? Even the greenish pelt of a river monkey, its iridescent aura, even our two human bodies shimmer with the weird atomic eclipse light of life. Talking to myself like this, in a blazon and an emblem, I realize I have never said plainly most of what I truly believe. I have shied from difficulty and misstated my deepest fears. I have not borne full witness to the suffering in the streets of the cities I love. I have not walked a picket line against the tyranny of greed. I have been wily and evasive, even on behalf of art. I have not praised the movies in tones equal to the rapture I have known there. I cannot remember King Lear. I did not finish Ulysses or even start on Proust. Even now I seek diversion in the candy necklace of delight. Even now I refuse to commit. Even now I would walk among jaguars wearing the skin of a jaguar, as if it were not necessary to declare my allegiance, as if I did not have to choose. Which will it be, sugar or blood? I'm going to read two more poems. This is a love poem. It's called Nox Borealis. If Socrates drank his portion of hemlock willingly, if the Appalachians have endured unending ages of erosion, If the wind can learn to read our minds and moonlight, moonlight as a master pickpocket, surely we can contend with contentment as our commission. Deer in a stubble field, small birds dreaming unimaginable dreams in hollow trees, even the icicles, darling, even the icicles shame us with their stoicism, their radiant resolve. Listen to me now. Think of something you love, but not too dearly, so the night will steal from us only what we can afford to lose. All right, one more poem. Go back to the kind of comedic side of things. I'm scaring myself with the seriousness for a moment. This poem is called A Poem That Needs No Introduction. And it's a poem about the incredible pleasure of going to writing festivals, which is a great pleasure. I mean, obviously much of the poem makes fun of writing festivals, needless to say. But that is, all in the spirit of the thing. This is a writing festival that's actually in Bratislava, Slovakia. I don't think Carolyn's here, but Carolyn, I know, has been at the same writing festival. And it speaks to the occasion of being at a writing festival in a country where you don't speak the language, and every poem they read at this festival, they read first in the native language and then in Slovak. But often the native language was Polish, so you'd hear it first in Polish, then in Slovak, or in Czech and then in Slovak. So it was an interesting situation. Poem that needs no introduction. Listen, I have endured so much bad art in my lifetime that my brain actually throbs and pulses in the manner of a 1960s comic book supervillain. And my skull threatens to burst at the seams like a lychee nut at the mere thought of all those tuneless bands and lousy etchings and earnest readings in coffee houses smelling of clove cigarettes. Pretentious photos of phallomorphic icebergs. The opening at the gallery hung with stillborn elephants. What could you say? And one unforgettable night, a conceptual dance performance akin to a ritual sacrifice with the audience as victims, as if art might prove the literal death of me. All this and so much more, only to find myself here in Bratislava at the Ars Poetica Poetry Festival, yet again drinking red wine from a plastic cup while the poets declaim in languages dense and indecipherable as knotted silk, thinking, well, what could be better than this? Perhaps it would be better if the air conditioning worked and the keg of Zlatý Bazant had not run dry. But the local wine is unexpectedly delicious, hearty as wild boar's blood, and the very existence of such an exuberantly cacophonous conclave in this diminutive and innocuous backwater of Mittel Europa makes me yearn to do something hearty and wine-soaked and boorish. No, not boorish, to shout spontaneous bebop musings, like the hipster beatnik poet Fred from Paris, or crack wise like the balding Frank O'Hara imitator from Vienna, or sing like the yodeling pop-eyed jokester from Prague, or simply intone with great seriousness, like the well-mannered poets from Warsaw and Wrocław, Berlin and Budapest and Brno. Oh, river sand, sink deeper and fling yourself into my whirlpool. Blue sunflower gas ring octopus, what brings you to the rainforest, amigo? Well, that came out a bit like Basho imitating Corso, but the thought is what counts when it is 10:45 and you are drunk enough to believe a poem scribbled on a festival program could change the world, and then someone says time is an invisible marauder, and I shout, fuck you, and everybody smiles. This poem will change the world. This poem is a revolutionary anthem to global insurrection. This poem is an international pop sensation, over 20 million sold. This poem saved the baby from the burning building. This poem knows how to howl, to hoot like an owl. This poem refuses to throw in the towel. This poem is an imposter. Down with this poem. This poem has been weaponized. I am breathing its evil fumes, its paralytic murk. This poem twists my arm until I cry, uncle. This poem will never help me, no matter how much I beg. Help me, please. Somebody help me. This poem wants to kick some ass. This poem is going to mess you up so bad. This poem will bury you, my friend. But this poem really digs your sister, with her pigtails and her songs about polar bears and fast rides to immortality. Your sister is someone to run away with and live in a castle in a dark Teutonic forest, or a cheap apartment with no furniture but a futon and a typewriter in the city underneath the city that is underneath this city. Take a swig of wine and it is 12:15. Another and it is 2:10. Fuck you! But where was I? Ah yes, Bratislava. At the mayor's palace, we are instructed to visit the Apple Festival, a new tradition created by the Ministry of Culture, modeled upon the actual traditions of the Slovak country folk who feel, one can only assume, quite strongly about their apples. Try as we might, we cannot find any sign of the festival, and we return to the Ministry of Culture. The woman at the desk denies any knowledge of it. Not to worry, she says, next week begins the Cabbage Festival. And tonight is the big national soccer match, and the exuberant crowd watching on jumbo screens in the square is drinking Coca-Cola from minuscule aluminum cans provided by girls in red jumpsuits and afro wigs as a promotion. But where was I? Ah yes, art. Art is what we came for, and what we got was a reminder that this is how it begins. No, not in fright wigs, but a communion of scars and charms and midnight plunder. A reminder that even our most profound individual suffering amounts to little more than ashes on the grate of a city engulfed in eternal flames, which is certainly not this charming metropolis of beer gardens and trolleys and long-haired Slavic angels whose golden swords glitter madly above the Danube at dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, the bar is now closed. You've been a wonderful audience, and I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and to leave you with one last piece, if I can find the right page. Ah yes, here we go. This is a poem that needs no introduction. Thank you very much.